Have you ever wondered how some people just naturally diffuse tension and bring a room full of competing egos together? Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are dissecting the anatomy of a really fascinating workplace trait, and that is harmony. We're going to break down exactly how the peacemakers in the workplace actually operate, why they're so absolutely essential to a team, and what happens when their greatest superpower kind of becomes a major liability. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, defining the harmony trait. Then, the peacemaker's superpower. After that, we'll look at the dark side of harmony, what harmony actually needs to thrive. And finally, harmony versus other traits. It's a great little journey from their superpowers straight to their kryptonite. But before we even get to the definitions, I want you to ask yourself, are you the team's ultimate peacemaker? Or, maybe you have a colleague who immediately springs to mind. Just think about that person who naturally seeks peace and cooperation in their day-to-day lives, the one who literally hates unnecessary friction. Keep that person in your head as we go through this. Now, to ground our explainer today, we are pulling our insights straight from the SwitchOn Strengths framework. The whole goal here is to help you discover, activate, and ultimately thrive using your natural traits in the real world. All right, moving to section 1, defining the harmony trait. Let's see how this ultimate mediator actually functions. So, people with a harmony theme seek peace, cooperation, and practical agreement between people. And how do they actually pull that off? By intentionally focusing on common ground rather than division. They fundamentally believe that, very little is gained from unnecessary friction. Picture a classic workplace scenario, right? Marketing and sales are fiercely arguing over a budget or a campaign direction. The person with harmony, they are not trying to loudly win the argument. They're the one actively trying to find the shared compromise so the project can actually just launch. They just want everybody to move forward together. And this brilliantly illustrates their core role, smooth, ruffled feathers. It is the perfect mental sticky note for this trait. They just have this incredible natural ability to calm tension, reduce friction, and restore relational balance. When egos predictably clash, the person with strong harmony talent steps right in as the quiet mediator to keep the group productive. Okay, section 2, the peacemaker's superpower. Let's talk about the immense value they bring. When they are operating at their peak, what the framework calls the balcony, these individuals are just incredible facilitators. They easily see multiple sides of a situation, which is absolutely crucial for helping people arrive at a consensus. They create genuine relational synergy, they are masters at facilitating productive discussions, and honestly, perhaps most importantly, they remain calm during tension. When the boardroom gets unexpectedly heated, they're like the cool breeze that brings everyone back down to reality. So what this really boils down to is that harmony brings calmness, cooperation, and practicality into teams. And notice the word practicality there. They aren't just peacekeepers for the sake of, holding hands around a campfire. They naturally steer conversations toward common sense, workable solutions. They want to find that shared understanding that helps the whole team function effectively. But, section 3, the dark side of harmony. Let's look at what happens when the desire for peace goes just a bit too far. Right, so as with literally any powerful trait, there is a flip side. When the drive for harmony is overused, individuals enter the basement. They might start actively avoiding necessary conflict. They can become completely paralyzed by tension in the room. To maintain this sort of false sense of peace, they might suppress difficult emotions or disagreements, and because of that, they can actually appear weak or indecisive to their colleagues. The very thing that makes them great, their hatred of friction, becomes a pretty dangerous trap when they refuse to have the difficult conversations that are actually needed to make progress. And this leads to a massive blind spot. Because they value agreement so much, they will often downplay conflict way too quickly. And this ends up really frustrating the people on the team who actually want deeper debate or discussion. Office politics are messy, and sometimes a team desperately needs to argue to find the absolute best idea. True growth often requires friction, and the harmony individual's natural instinct to instantly suppress that disagreement, it can inadvertently stifle a team's innovation. Which brings us to section 4, what harmony needs. Let's look at their ideal habitat. So the crucial point is, for a person with harmony to truly succeed and stay out of that basement, they require specific environments. They absolutely thrive in low-conflict spaces with lots of opportunities to help people collaborate. They do best with practical, solution-focused conversations, clear direction, and healthy cooperative relationships.
It's not that they demand a total absence of problems, but they absolutely require conflict to be manageable so they can make practical progress without feeling, emotionally paralyzed.
Finally, Section 5, Harmony versus Other Traits. Let's look at some high contrast comparisons. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing what the trait isn't. Just listen to the difference in motivation here. The harmony approach says, let's do what works best. It's highly practical. It's all about finding consensus today. Now, contrast that with the belief theme, which says, I want to do what matters most. The belief trait is driven by deep personal conviction, even if it causes a massive fight in the office. Harmony, on the other hand, prioritizes practical collaboration over dying on a hill for a rigid conviction.
And we see this again with how they view expertise. Harmony prioritizes interdependence, happily saying, I willingly defer to experts. They have absolutely no problem stepping back and letting someone else take the wheel if it keeps the peace. Self-assurance, conversely, says, being independent, I confidently rely on my own expertise. This really proves that the harmony trait fundamentally values relational balance and team interdependence way more than personal independence or feeding their own ego. They just want the ship to sail smoothly, regardless of who actually gets the credit for steering.
So, bringing it all back to the SwitchOn Strengths framework, mastering your traits isn't just about celebrating the good stuff. It's about knowing your blind spots so well that you actively prevent yourself from slipping into that basement. Knowing exactly how your desire for agreement operates allows you to activate it when it's genuinely helpful and manage it when a deeper, maybe more uncomfortable debate is truly necessary. So, whether you possess the harmony trait yourself or you manage someone who does, you have to constantly balance that balcony and the basement. So I'm going to leave you with this question to reflect on. Will you smooth ruffled feathers today? Or in your current situation, is it actually time to face the necessary friction? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to dive into our next topic with you.